Hi, how you doing? It's Jeff Sinker from SkypeGuitarLessonsOnline.com. This lesson, I'm going to be looking at how you can extend your pentatonic scale playing. Now, I get asked this question a lot from my students, my Skype students, that they're learning the pentatonics and they've gone through a few of the boxes, they've learned some of the shapes, but they're still having a problem joining them up so it sounds very fluid when they're playing. So I thought I'd just put this lesson together for my students to watch, and of course anybody out there who's on YouTube land. So what we're going to do, we're just going to look at A minor pentatonic, and I'm going to show you a series of simple positions that we can use extending up the fretboard that allow you to expand your scale playing. But first of all, we are going to be here in A minor pentatonic position 1. So we've got our A minor chord and we've got our usual box number 1, where most students feel very comfortable with. It's the first position they tend to use, and you can use it quite effectively. But there's points when you want it to kind of just move up and down a little bit into the various boxes. So first one, we've got the usual. And we can use that with a bit of phrasing. Let's get ourselves a kind of nice pentatonic blues style lick. But after a while you get a bit cramped, you're stuck in this position here. You might want to move it up into, I used to be, when I played, I knew pentatonic box 1, and what I did, I just figured out the notes higher up on the fretboard just by shifting them around. And I came up with a position here that I could use to move very quickly from this A position to this note here, and it worked really quite well. I was quite pleased with myself when I figured it all out. Many years later, I just realised that yes, it's just one of the many boxes that's out there. But at the time, it was great. I'd invented something here. But what we're going to do is look at some very simple shapes, and I'll have the diagrams on the screen for you as we go through them. So the first one that we can use, that I like to use quite a lot if I'm beginning when I'm doing a run on the pentatonic, is to introduce these two notes. So if I'm here on 5/8, 5/7, 5/7, 5/7, 5/8, 5/8, I'm going to bring in, which can be seen as pentatonic box number 5, going the reverse. So I'm going to bring in 3rd fret to 5 and 3rd fret to 5 on the E and the A string. And the way I like to do that, if I'm coming down, instead of reaching across to the 8 here on the low E, I'll slide down to the 3 on the A and then finish up on the root note here on the 5th fret. And of course I can move that around. It's all about this position on the first finger shift. Just taking that slide down there, I can bring that note in on 3rd fret and back. I can also, as part of a run, a bit of a phrasing, I can do it the other. I can, and then slide up with the 3rd finger. So I've got a little bit of phrasing, and by moving it up I've still got a chord tone there, so it's going to fit in quite well, and then it puts me back into position number 1. So that little position, that one there, them 2 notes, or should I say 4 notes or 2 notes, I can add. So the next one we are going to look at is we're going to be shifting from the G string. So we're playing here and we're on 7th fret on the G string. I'm going to slide that 3rd finger up 2 frets, which is on 9th fret. Now that is taking us into position number 2. And it gives me access then to the 8 and the 10 on the B and the 8 and the 10 on the high E. So by taking this little slide, 3rd finger slides up, I've got this position. Now if I want to get back to my box here, I can slide down on whichever finger I'm on. And I'm back into position 1. So it's the slide with that third finger. I can slide from the first finger. That puts me to that side, so I'm kind of still in box 1, and then use the third finger to get into that. So I'm very nice. Movement. So now I've increased the range. I've taken it from 3rd fret up to 10th fret just by using that slide on the G string to take me into that little box, utilizing them notes on box number 2. Now I'm going to do the same thing now, sliding on this 3rd finger, but I'm now going to take us into the next position. And again, on the screen there, you can see it. I'm going to slide from 10th fret on the B string up to 13. And this now puts me into box 3. So what I've got now is access to 10 on the E, 12 on the E, 13 on the B, 10 on the B, and I've also got this 12 on the G, and if I want I can pull in 9th fret on the G, but the ones I would advise to work through is this 13 on the B, 10, 12 on the high E, 13, 10 on the B, back. And I can slide backwards and forwards between that. So I can now take a line up here so I've got even bigger scope now. I can take all kinds of little lines. Across even more. Next one, we're going to take up to this new position here, which is going to put us across 12th and 15th fret. So I can again, using the 3rd finger, I can slide up to 15 on the B. And now I've got access to 12 and 15 on the high E, 13 on the B, and 14 and 12 on the G. So nice little way to move now into that. Taking the 1st finger slides me back into that position 3. 1st finger slide back again, takes me into the 2nd. Final one. I'm going to move again. Now I can take it from various points on this, but again this 3rd finger on the B string, slide it up another 2 frets. And now I've got across 15 and 17 on the B, and 15 and 17 on the high E. And that's taken me up to the A, up on the high E. So I've gone from this position down here, 5, I can work right up to 15. So I've got a 9th. Kind of creative way of moving up and down into these positions. Now, there's not a wrong answer for how you want to link it up, whether you want to use your 3rd finger or your 1st finger. But instead of thinking all these different boxes and just going from box to box to box, I'm now starting to move a little bit more fluidly. Around the fretboard, which is really what we're looking for. We try to be more creative, we try to use phrases as we work around, so we're not just restricting from box 1, box 2, play up and down, box 3. Doesn't matter now. I've got a very, very fluid way of moving from one part of the fretboard to another. Of course, when you're in these boxes, there's nothing stopping you moving across that box, utilizing that box. As you develop your confidence when you're playing through here, you'll start to see your kind of movement down on the fretboard to get you into some of the more comfortable position ones, using them slides. But using a slide makes it a lot more fluid. So you've got a nice little movement backwards and forwards. Of course, try that with a backing track. If you play it across, get a nice little slow A minor backing track, and it's going to sound pretty cool. Now, what I also want to point out is, and the diagrams will be coming up, is when you're playing through these, also start to think about your chord tones as you play through, because this will make the notes settle a lot better. You'll be utilizing really the cage system. So when we're on the A minor in box 1, all the chord tones are there. When we move up to this position, we're playing an A minor, still playing from an A minor, but the A minor shape that we're looking at is going to be the shape of the kind of beginner's chord D minor, but our root note, which was down here, was the D. When we move it up, we've now moved it up to the A note on 10th fret. So as we're playing through that shape, they are your chord tones. You've got 9 on G, 10 on B, and 8 on the high E. So be conscious of targeting these chord tones as you play through. It's just going to sound so much better over your backing track when you're playing. Playing with your different song. Now, when we move up into the next position, third position, your chord isn't going to sit out on as much, but your chord tones, what you've got, if we think of an A minor triad, is going to be an A, it's going to be the C, which is 10 and 13 on the B, and 12 on the high E. So again, we are just moving from those safety notes that you're playing. Of course, if you hit the wrong note, as long as you get back onto that safety note and then chord tones, it's going to sound pretty cool. So that's what you're looking for on position 3. When we move up into the next position, because 12 and 15 fret, we're thinking of the A minor shape here. So our safety note is going to be 12 on the E, we've got 13 on the B, and we've got 14 on the G. So as you move through, again, I extend it back up on the root note. So they are your safe notes. When we're playing on the 15 to 17, well, we're back in our A minor standard position here, but an octave higher. So our notes that we're looking for, the target notes, are going to be 17 on the high E and 17 on the B. So do be aware when you are playing them, what you're looking for is your chord tones as you play through on that. Now, of course, I am staying in the same scale, so you would be playing across this level here. We're just keeping it in the one scale, so playing over a 1, 4, 5 is going to work. If we step outside of that, you are really going to be looking to change the scale you're playing over the chord. But in most instances, as you're learning how to improvise and how to use the scales, just stick to the scale that fits the chords. If it's a 1, 4, 5, it works nice over an A minor 7, a D minor 7, and then you turn around on the 5. So a pretty standard blues progression is going to work very, very nicely for that. where we're not thinking about adjusting to the chord, we're not adjusting our scale to the chord that we're playing behind. Well, it was just a very short lesson I thought I put together just to answer a number of questions that I've been getting from my students. Hopefully you find it useful. Say the diagrams, I'll include them as well so you can see them afterwards, so you can actually download them. But get on the guitar, try it out, have some fun. There's nothing better than just being able to seamlessly move around that fretboard without really having to think too much, because I'm just using them positional shapes just to move around that fretboard. Of course, once you've done it in A minor, then try it in different keys, just so you know where these distances with the intervals that you're playing through. You don't have to follow my patterns, of course. You know, this is about you creating. So I've been using a lot of target time on the third finger. If you prefer using your first finger, or if you like sliding around, moving up and down on that G string as you do it, there's not a wrong answer to this. But the right answer is to really experiment with your phrases across these different positions. Well, hope you found that useful. Don't forget, if you did, click on that subscribe button. There'll be a lot more of these little lessons on playing the pentatonics coming through. If you've got any questions, let me know. Anything that you've got, any questions about what we've looked at or anything you're unsure on, drop me a line and I'll see if I can put together a lesson that will answer that question. But until the next time, this is Jeff Sinker from SkypeGuitarLessonsOnline.com. Wishing you well, appreciate your company as always, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Until then, goodbye.